Witamy wszystkich na 120 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Dzisiaj mamy 18 stycznia 2018 roku. Gospodarzami programu są Maciej, Paweł, Przemek i Marcin. Naszym nauczycielem standardowo jest dr Keshe. No i dzisiejsze spotkanie, tutaj na nim zajmiemy się prezentacją tłumaczenia pierwszej części zeszłotygodniowego 206 warsztatu poszukiwaczy wiedzy. Będzie to fragment mniej więcej do godziny i 34 minut. No i w międzyczasie albo pod sam koniec wyciągniemy sobie jakieś wnioski z tego, co tutaj dr Keshe nam przedstawił. Także bez owijania w bawełnę przechodzimy powoli do omawiania właściwej prezentacji wykładu. Także zapraszam serdecznie.
Welcome everyone to the 206 Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, January 11th, 2018. And once again, we'll be hearing from Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And I understand today I have a little secret that maybe he will be telling us some secrets of longevity and about how to have a 1,000-year lifespan, perhaps. I hope I didn't blow it, Mr. Keshe, but perhaps you can enlighten us. I think you're there, ready to begin.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Rick. Good morning to you wherever you listen to these public teachings. I hope we enlighten you to think more on your own, with your own strength of thoughts. We have inspired many people to do many things, and in so many ways. That's all been the purpose of the messengers of the past, to inspire man to live a correct life, and in a way to live independent of his any imagination, but with reality that he is in charge of his own destiny and he decides it. So as Rick said, if you have listened to most of the teachings and understood part of it in a correct way, you should have already seen the secret that life has no limitation. 500 years, 1,000 years. Numbers are the number of the rotation of the earth around the sun. In the universe, we don't rotate around anything except the creator, the central cosmos, where everything rotates around it. It's the center of the attraction. It's the center of life for the whole of the universe. Man has got to learn, and the sooner he learns that he is part of the creator, the sooner, as we tell, he is everlasting, so shall be the man. This is part of the process of maturing. It's very hard for us to think. They say, when they said Noah lived such a long time, his time 50 years was a long time. Diseases and everything else. If you lived into your 50s, you lived a long, long time. Some they say he lived 500 years. Still, multiply 500 by the number of days is meager time in the time of the universe. But we have learned that our soul leaves our physicality and become independent of the rotation of Earth around the sun. Our year in the universe is absolutely meaningless. If you say I'm 1,000 years old, they laugh. Because 1,000-year-old of what? How many times you are rotated? So if you are a Sufi and rotate so many times, you add to your times. This is a Sufi life. You can keep on rotating. This is what we have to understand, that man's life, in essence, is the life of the Creator. Without it, just 1 second, please. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, okay. So if we look at our lives in so many ways, we understand in a simple way, our life is part of the Creator's life. As He everlasting, so shall we be, us. But we got to learn, if the Creator has manifested Himself in different shapes and forms of the time, as what we call universes, as galaxies, as stars, planets, man, the animals on this planet. So we have the same capability to be part of it and be, in a way, understand it. It's important for all of us to understand something very, very important, and that is, we decide the lifespan of us. Does not matter where and when. Once the sealing of soul takes shapes in the womb of the mother of the man on this planet, it has captured the essence of the creation. And now it has its own dimension. It absorbs and it gives and it takes. When our soul leaves our body in the dimension of the universal, what you call cosmos, then as we feed ourselves, as we shown in the plasma or in the magnets, it decides where it's going to be. It can come across, and most of the souls of the man who live this life in the space after departing from this physical body, or what are called the leech of physicality, then they decide what the strength fields they take and they give. And if you come into a very high strength field, which is in the strength of the soul of the man, you get elevated, you can receive more, because then they want to raise you to a new level. So we see what we call the rise of the manifestation of the soul in a different level. These are the things we have to open our eyes to. So when we talk about 1,000 years, it's just numbers on our count, because we limited our lives to number of the rotation of our physicality around the sun. And sun, the small speck of dust in the whole of the creation. And imagine we are a speck of dust in comparison to the sun. So, but in essence, we carry the essence of the Creator. So, when we speak about 1,000 years, 10,000 years, in the depth of the space, as we adjust ourselves into different dimensions, we become part of the totality of the bigger structure, and life of the man in the space is everlasting. Once, until the time when the dimension and strength of the soul of the man becomes part of the bigger structure, with even that still lives within itself. This is the secret of the creation, and this is what most of the men, most of the creations in the universe die for. In a way, they want to be able to release the physicality to become part of non-dimensional entity that they can choose when to manifest themselves. Not many creation of God have managed to reach this. Not many races in the universe have managed to understand this. And those who understood have matured very rapidly. And this was a gift which was given to man, to mature rapidly. Because in the structure of the building of the soul of the man, there is such a capability. There is such a potential within the soul of the man. And it's unique in the way that it has unknowingly become part of the nursery of the creation of the Unicos, in creating new dimensions of existence. The flexibility. As you all know, and it's very easy to understand, most of the solar systems support life in the dimensions which man cannot even imagine. But on the other hand, to them, they can't imagine a life is like human race in the universe. So we are a beauty of what to the others, amazement to the others, as the others are amazement to us. We amuse them as we get amused by seeing different things, different dimensions of life. But the beauty with it, with this planet, is the what I call cosmopolitan presence of the huge mixture of elements. This gives the soul of the man new dimension. If you look at the rotation of the most of planetary system on the vertical axis, they don't have such a combination of the mixtures of the materials as we have. This creation of the rotation of the axle of the earth in a few degrees, which creates the seasons, and with it, it creates a combination of new dimension and the strength of the gravitational field, has given the soul of the man and a strength which covers a huge spectrum across the universe. And don't forget, whatever we discovered, plutonium, uranium, and go, whatever you go, these are the first few elements, but they are the fundamental cornerstone of the creation of the soul of the man. And in the universe, if you have such a spectrum of energy of the gravitational magnetic field, it means you can manifest yourself in many, many different dimensions. It's a cake which has many ingredients, and each one stands on its own. It's a bouquet of flowers which carries 100, 200 different elements in it, and put all the isotopes with it. Put all the dimension of different strength of the magnetic field. This gives the soul of the man in the dimension of the universe to be able to manifest itself in a huge spectrum of lives. Somebody's microphone is open, please. So, if you understand this, now you understand the beauty of the creation for man. Where and how we can manifest ourselves. In having and being able to carry such a huge spectrum of the fields in the soul of the man's gravitational magnetic field strength, it gives a man ability to survive. Is multitaskers of everything in different dimensions. And this is why the soul of the man is precious. Because then in the dimension of the universe, if you come in a position where it's only uranium mixture, you can manifest yourself because you carry the strength. And then you use the others elements in the strength of the magnetic field to add to it and manifest yourself in the dimension. If you come across a planet which is only carbon and manifestation of life in the carbon strength, man can manifest itself again. This is why there is so much emphasis on guiding the man. It's an accident of the creation, but in that process has brought a beautiful creation, which we call the soul of the man. You call it a Swiss knife, it can do everything. This is a Swiss knife of the soul of the universe. Man's soul, and so much contact has been with the man in the past, and trying to educate the man, is not for the physicality of the man, is for creating the perfect soul of the man. Then the soul of the man in the universe become the messengers of peace, because it knows peace. Up to now has created many problems. So educating man to understand the beauty of his soul has been our responsibility. To appreciate his strength, to see the beauty in his creation. Not many creators, handmaids, are the same as human race. The spectrum of the strength which is built within the soul of the man is unique. In so many ways unique that you can become, the man can become, and those men who were men of peace and have joined the universal community are the peaceful ambassadors of the universe. But in that process, they're the teachers. In a way, they create this structure from the beginning which is peaceful. Because it's like you speak languages. I can leave you if you speak French in France and you communicate with the French. I put you in the English, you speak in English communities because you know multi-language, you can survive because you can carry on. You can go to China, you speak Chinese, you fit in. So is the soul of the man. It's the facets of the beauty. This is what the man has to understand. The life of the man is everlasting, as is the creation of his soul which is needed. But we need the physical body to be able to transport and transfer all these different strength from this planet into the soul of the man. That's what it comes, the sperm and egg, and then the creation of the physicality. That we adopt, we perfect the strength of the soul. And then in time when a man decides to leave, or by accident leaves the physicality, the soul is already carrying the full understanding of the strength of the dimensions of the creation. So, is your body, is your soul 1,000 years old? Or are we nourishing the soul which will become the creator, communicator, and alive in different dimensions of the universe? This is what man has to understand, the beauty of his creation, not the torture which has been put in by those who abuse the physicality. The more we abuse the physicality, the more we deprive different strength to be developed in the soul of the man, that in the universe can exist in all dimensions. In a way, we take feathers off the wing of the bird, one by one. And this cannot be. This is the purpose of all these teachings. Many people, many those who call themselves theologists, many what we call the religious leaders, at this moment of time are baffled in how to handle the knowledge which is getting released so rapidly in one go. And the biggest, what I call, shock to them is that so many people understand it. There is no need for intermediaries. There is nobody to call the priests and translators and transcribers. The word spoken has understood and will be understood by more men. So this is where we are. This is why we said life of the man is 1,000 years the life of the universe, not 1,000 years the life of this planet. And that life is everlasting. Don't forget, in some of the writings in the past, these numbers have been hidden. If you look in transcribes and what you call manuscripts of the old times, the time, the essence of time was explained to man very easily. But then they covered it. They said every year is equal to 1,000 years. Every day is equal to 1 year. Trying to manifest different. This is the essence of the creation of our soul. Once the soul of the man is created and takes what we call flight in the realm of the soul of the universe, there is no time limit. As it's been said, if I tell you the beauty of the life in the dimension of the soul, every man on this planet will commit suicide from physicality. But at the same time, we forbid suicide, which means the body has not done its work to mature the soul of the man to be able to live within dimensions of the universe. This is why in most of the path of the beliefs and instructions, suicide has been forbidden, which means the soul has not gathered enough strength to be able to fit in all dimensions, has not reached the point of maturity. It's very much like what we call the children. When you have a child, can only take suckle milk from the breast of the mother. Then you introduce it to bread, meat. Then as it grows older, as it travels across different parts of this planet, it gets to learn the taste, acquires the beauty of the Chinese food, the English food, the South American food, and it adds this like what we learn languages in the vocabulary of the science of the physicality. All these gives strength to the soul of the man. The more combination we add to it, the more we have in the dimension of the soul strength into the survival and being able to manifest ourselves in different dimensions in the universe. The soul of the man is sacrosanct and it has to take its own time. It's like when it reaches maturity, it knows when it's time to leave. But as we understand more, we get educated more, we interact more, the dimension of the soul of the man meets more dimensions in need of physicality, that it adds more to its different strength. So it's now start adding to the time of its physicality. This is why at this moment of time we live, we used to live 30, 40 years and that was it. As the time of viruses and infections and killing and the wars reduced, man start living more secure. We found rice, we found wheat, we converted the grass to food and we became, stopped being nomads. And in so many ways, every step has added more to the strength of the soul of the man in this process. We need time to mature in the dimension of adding to our soul. In a way, when you don't do wrong, and in a way, when you last longer on this planet, you give more vocabularies, you add more languages to the strength of your soul, that you can manifest yourself in different dimensions, in different part of the universe. In the future, as is done by many men of today who have returned to Earth from deep space, they have learned this. You go back to the point of physicality, to charge up, to add more. It's just like you press a button, what do they say to you? They send you a message, update, upgrade. When you return back to the origin of life, where you came from, because you have the essence of the origin within you, you upgrade, you add more. And this is what the essence is. Many of the people of this planet will return back to this planet to upgrade. Because the people who stay here as natives are upgrading, are developing, are creating more and more. Not in a materialistic dimension, but in a way of absorbing more different fields. This is what I explained to somebody very recently. It's like going to Italy and you ask for a pizza. You go to India and you ask for a curry. You go to Mexico and you ask for Mexican food. But you go to England and you go to shops and then you ask for a pizza with an Indian curry with a Mexican taste, and they make it for you. Nowhere in the world is so more flexible in food than in UK. So is the soul of the man. You come back to see who's added, that you want to take more mixtures into your soul. If you understand this process, then the dimension of physicality becomes absorption of understanding more and more, in realizing what is needed. And then when you travel into the deep space, into the space of the universe and unicos, then you speak all the languages and you know all the tastes. To you, you already carry. Mono-material, mono-structure lives in universe are many. And then they can only manifest themselves in that dimension. But the soul of the man, due to its construction, actually to the construction of this planet, the way we have connected our physicality to copper, to zinc, to aluminum, to everything else, this has given our soul a mixture of combination of the strength in its arsenal of life in the universe. So how long do you think he'll live? In the new science, it was said that by 2018, those who are born in this year 2018, a large majority into a large percentage, up to 15 to 20%, are expected to live 200 years. Those who were born in 1990s were expected to pass 100, 120. Those born in 2018 are a large number expected to live 200 with the present knowledge. But now with adding the new knowledge of the technology of the plasma, the life of the man with the children who are born today will be 1,000 years minimum. because we have learned even to overcome those diseases which overcome our life of physical dimension. In so many ways, from now on, when you are 1,000 years, you're just a youth. You have just learned all the tools of life. Then you have to exist in the full dimension of the universe. Look, we receive a letter, we receive communication from a man who thanks the plasma technology for what we call regression of the cancer, breast cancer of the wife. He's done it himself, nobody else. We've seen the new dimensions with our medical application. We've seen the return of that coma patient to walking, to be able to eat and feed. And then these are not miracles. These are understanding the science. These are understanding the true essence of creation. We've seen it with our dearest Naomi. We've seen where she is, and in her cycle. Now this accident is over. She lived maybe 500 years, 1,000 years. Because now even the physical accidents can be remedied. In the new, what we call clinics of the Keshe Foundation, we will emphasize on many of these strengths. Not returning back of the dead, but knowing that the soul has a still connection with the physicality, that it can be regenerated. It can be brought back to bring the physicality into dimension. I've done this twice. And it's very easy. And it's so easy if we teach the physicians how to allow the soul to still be connected with physicality, that the physicality can now use the soul to repair itself. There should be in the coming time no one in coma more than few hours. As we teach more, as we learn more. In a way, we learn more that even the death can be negotiated in the dimension of physicality and soul of the man. Does the soul still wants to leave the physicality, or the physicality still wants to be attached to the soul? It's a marriage which has to be in perfect harmony, and it's got to be accepted by both, the separation from the physicality. This I have taught you a lot in the past few weeks. You can decide. So you can decide to change your physical dimension into the dimension of the soul, and then bring the soul within the physical dimension when you need. This is an art. This is understanding of the true method, true structure of their life in the universe. In so many ways, when I teach you, and I've said many times, we've seen this, we've been there. That's what we do. We transfer our souls in the physical dimension, and when there is a need, we interact, we live, and then we bring the soul back into physicality for it to be there. And then like a chameleon, we turn inside out. We let the soul to take over the physicality, and we take a new dimension in the universe. Every man on this planet with the essence of his creation should be able to do this. It's a choice. It's a creator's given right, and nobody else. This is why we see how much man has let himself down and is allowed to be abused. And with that abuse has not allowed the soul of the man to educate the physicality of the man. That is where the balance of the equality has gone. And then it's been abused. If you look at the history of the man, look at the Persian Empire, look at the Greek Empire, look at the Roman Empire, look at the time of pharaohs. Look at the Chinese cycle of understanding of their life. Man has progressed in these cycles where man has been just and correct, and it's been peaceful with itself. We've seen the dividends of the true men of peace. And now we see the true meaning of how they have added to the knowledge of the man through the time when they were peaceful. There's been a myth that when the pharaohs built all these buildings, there was slavery. That was the time when there was more equality than any other time in the time of pharaohs. Where a leader and a soldier and a foot soldier all were looked after the same. So they worked the same. There was a harmony. There was nobody above to do. It was done with the pleasure of doing. We see the same process now in Keshe Foundation. Many people in the background, in the work, they work on the same ethos. They're there to see the change, because the change comes with the peace of mind, peace of mind. So in the coming time, when you say you're from planet Earth, they don't ask how old you are. They ask you, what do you carry? I need this part of it. Have you managed to add so much to your soul that you can give from it, that we can survive? It's very much what we call on this planet the blood type. Are you O, or are you AB, or are you A? You can only give to A and nobody else. But what about to be the blood which fits everyone? And that is the soul of the man. That is the soul of the man in the space. That wherever you come, you lay your head. It's your home. And you are there because of the knowledge you have gained, the strength to be part of the support and part of the life in that dimension. The soul of the man has many beauties and many assets, but the man has never found out. Now it's time to appreciate himself. Now is the time for him to understand the true essence of the creation and the reason, be it just by accident, for him to be precious in the universal community. That's why we spend so much effort trying to bring man to understand not to do wrong, because in the space that these wrongs can be dangerous for some. The true essence of life is not the physicality of the man. It's the soul of the man which can do so much in the depth of the universe, in different dimensions, in different, what we call unicos. Different parts of this unicos needs the soul of the man. No one has ever told man which universes they landed in. As we know, as we say in a man's world, lions with lions, birds with birds. In so many ways, the soul which we have created can fit in the dimension of the soul of another cosmos, another universe, which now we become the feeding line to that dimension. This is the beauty of it. This is in my teachings. In many ways I have hidden this work, and I have spoken many times about it. We say, now that we understand the work of the plasma, we can make magnet for anything, as I said in all my teachings. Magnet for carbon, as we see in the CO2 box. Magnet for anything you like, for plastic, for metal, for wood. Because we create the dimension of the essence of that environment. So is with the soul of the man. In the soul of the man, we create a magnet that it can be attracted into any part of the universe where it can serve. Not only this universe, but in the universe. So, does man live 1,000 years? Meager number of rotations of a meager planet in a meager star, which is in a meager part of a solar system, in the galaxy which is totally lost in the whole structure of the universe and the rest of it. Or is this the nursery of the soul that with it helps every dimension in all the universe? The answer is clear. It's the second, not the first. We are not born here to be physical, but there is so much pleasure in physicality because it allows you to elevate your soul to all dimensions. It's like if you just drink milk, you do not know and you do not understand the taste of juice. Doesn't matter what it is. As you add more, the more strength you get, the more you can interact, the more we can enhance our body. There has been a path which man has not understood, but in time we'll understand. You call it viruses, and in my teachings I've explained what the viruses are. These are field strength which add themselves to the amino acid, and that's why man has not found any solution for viruses except in the dimension of the new technology with the plasma, where we actually interact with the virus, which is the energy package which the plasma is. This interaction of the viruses with the amino acid is part of the new connections trying to find solutions for the interaction of the physicality with the soul of the man. Part of these viruses, what you call energy packages we call, is created by the soul itself, because it needs it for the body to be able to understand the new evolution in the depth of the universe. You think you just live in this planet and that's it. But you have to understand a simple word. Your soul is interacting and working with the rest of the universal community. So slowly and gradually it's trying to educate its physicality that there is a need for dimension of the field, the strength, which has nothing to do with the amino acid. Maybe for the first time you understand why some viruses kill some and some viruses, the same virus does not touch others. Because the soul has already planned in the process of physicality to receive these kind of energies. Man has to understand more about his own physical life. And the energies which come from the universe and energies which come from the soul of the man, in a way trying to train his physicality to stand more of what is to come, which is the interaction with the field of the universe. Is, in a way, what we call evolution of the soul in the dimension of physicality. We have to learn this, because in the space is the strength which is absorbed by our soul, which determines our physicality. Now you understand when I say we open the true science of universe to man in 2018. You have to learn more. You have to understand more. When you understand, you don't forget, you inscribe it in the dimension of the soul. When you learn it, it's a physical entity. You lose it with physicality. Comprehend, and you survive. Remember, and you always forget. Memory is in the dimension of physicality of the life of man. Comprehension, and with it bringing position, is part of the soul of the man. This is what we have to achieve, understand. And if you are so busy to learn about the life of the universe, no man has time for warring and fighting on this physical dimension. What a waste of time. What absolute waste of time. We see wars, we see aggression. Why? Those who don't have want to have, because they are not sure of the future. But once they get habit of getting it by misconduct, it will become their nature. As I said many times, you look at the United Kingdom. It cannot produce enough potatoes to feed its own nation. And if you look at the structure of your own family, if you're a father, if you're a mother, You look always what is the next food on the table, that the children do not go hungry. If you're a doctor, if you're a scientist, or if you work, you go to work to get something that instead for what you put as effort of time, you get what we call money that you can buy, that you can feed your family. When you don't work and there is no structure to support you, what do? Begging, thieving, robbing, killing, just to have something to eat and your children do. Becoming part of organizations and a structure that the killing and destruction is part of it, because it guarantees you can put food on the table that your children and yourself can survive. So has been the structure of United Kingdom. I've said many times, and I've annoyed many British politicians and very lords and what you call sirs with my talk this way. Over the years I lived in England. Always said, this island cannot produce even potato. That's why you become colonists. That's why you became invaders. To guarantee that you can feed like your father, their family. That there is no guarantees for it. That you will have food tomorrow, and if there is no food on the table, the children will rebel and you have no position to be. And we've seen this with every trick in the structure of the British structure for centuries. Why do they invade? Why do they go to different countries? And now they call it Commonwealth. Because they need to feed, and this guarantees them the life. So once we make one nation, and UK is part of the structure of this one nation, we don't need to let them to come and rob. We provide them with what they need. The ethos of the thinking and the work has to change. Then the same what we receive from the intelligence of the food, of understanding, the man in England will come up with the systems that we can work better, that in conjunction with what we better we add to, then it becomes one family. There is no time more for peace than now. There is no better time for it. Because in a way, the more the population of United Kingdom increases, the more need is there to guarantee that the king stays in position, that he can have a kingdom. And with it comes more war. Because there is not enough intelligence in the monarchy structure to go out and say, we don't have the food, but we can create the technologies that it can help you to live better life if you feed us. Then we don't see what we saw as the German supermarket shop last week. When you have that, we heard what our people said. One said it's the war, one is the famine. And we didn't see anyone running through the supermarket. Because if there is a famine, they know the rest of the world is there to support us. There is food to come. There is everything available. This has been part of the structure of building military and arms to guarantee food. To guarantee not only food, has been the essence of the man that will get women, that we can guarantee more in a sexual behavior, that we guarantee our race. If you look down the history line, what has man done? Hardly many leaders have ever killed all the women of one village. They always kill the man. Exactly what the animals do. When the lion takes over herd of lionesses, kills all the babies of the past life. So has done the man. Man has not evolved, has it? How many times we read in the history that the world leader has killed all the men, and how many times we have heard that they killed all the women? I think there is none of the second. And it's been the habit which has been brought in by the misconduct of Moses. We all know how he came in a basket. All the male creatures be slaughtered, that there will be no one except the king that stays on his own. He was brought up, and reading the history of Moses, he killed many times all the males of the villages. Even the dog and the pigeons were left alone. And come down the history 2000 years. Hitler, of a Jewish descent, did the same thing. Those of you who are from Netherlands, you've had a couple of villages like this, that he ordered all the male species to be killed. So, the wrongdoing of the Prophet has become the wrongdoing of the subjects. We see the same process in other parts, in different religions and sects and everything else, because man has not understood it's the soul of the man is precious, not the physicality of the man. If you live in Africa and you've been robbed by British for centuries, you should have never fought. She said, we give you what you need, you don't need to kill. They had nothing to fight with. They had nothing because they had the guarantee of supplies. It's the same with the French. Many of you know that the French government is tainted with blood, even today. In a French structure, if you are a true Frenchman, look where your money comes from. British made Commonwealth, but they left the freedom to them, but at the same time the control to take money back in from their nations, what they called the enslaved. The French today in their central budget still receive slavery from every French colony. One of the reasons that French colonies are not growing and they're all in suffering and absolute poverty is because up to 80% of their income is sent to France for them to live a good life and Africans to be kept as a slave or any other place they've been. One of the major work of the Earth Council is abolishment of this from the French structure. Why should a nation after 200 years still pay billions of dollars to the French government for what they were enslaved, and then they call them their freedom? Look at the French national income, look at the French colonies and see how much money flows at the French central bank. And then they go and they say the black, this and that, because they don't understand. Without them, they don't have the bread to eat. The beautiful streets of Europe is paved so beautifully by the burden of robbing the rest of the planet. And this will change. We make sure of that because we elevate the soul of those who are what they call themselves European to understand their misconduct. And there is two choices. You judge yourself and nobody else. Now you see every part of the teaching is coming together, and it's needed to come together that in time prepares man to be at peace with himself, and then to be at peace with his neighbor, and then to be at peace with his planet. And this is the purpose of these teachings. When you know you can absorb anything you need using your soul to feed your physicality, is there a need to rob another nation? Is it the need to slave another person? When in fact by slaving another person, now you have enslaved your physicality to your soul. Man needs to teach, and man needs to learn a lot. In the coming time, we will see conflicts, huge conflicts within the structure of the European continent. I have warned this recently, and you will see it. Because the other nations will not yield to be subordinate, and the other nations will not allow the Europeans to make arms to kill each other in other planets with their guns. Man of peace would not allow this. So Europeans need to learn there is no more time for gun manufacturing. And then they become equal. They don't see themselves, because of the color of the skin and the murders they've done, to be superior than others. When the Europeans at this time learn they're equal to the others and they have to be part of the same society, they're not any higher than the others, then we start the first steps towards world peace. Then many of them will become the messenger of peace. This is the time for it, and the evolution of it is coming. The start of the game comes very soon with the abolishment of the kingship in the Kingdom of Belgium. You will understand very soon. There was a reason we were banished into Belgium. There was a reason all this had to be done. It's part of the life which I've accepted. But through it, we'll show the mistakes of the past. And by one kingship going, the rest will follow in the winter of what I call end of kingship. Because through my life, the others understand how wrong is and how much abuse has been. And then the rest of the humanity very rapidly will grow into it. We will see the end of the kingship through understanding that nobody is king to no one. And then those who call themselves king and abuse have to stand their own terms. I've said many times, if I go and take revenge on killing and doing all sorts of the technology we have, the Belgians, I make the mistakes of Moses. And that shall never be done. Not in my time, not under my watch. We mature them, that they punish themselves by understanding how much they've done wrong to themselves and others. And then through it, we reach the maturity of the peace. We have to understand the time has come for the religions to collectively fight each other or to find a path of peace. When the Jews kill the Christians and the Muslims burn the mosques and the synagogues, and then what you call the churches, then they come, it's a financial damage we cannot take. Then we find a solution. There are two choices for the religious leaders: to fight it out or peace it out. And they'll go through the peace because they have collected so much that the greed of the wealth will push them into that limit. As part of the prediction of time, it has been said, there shall be no place on this planet that a single man will buy to make one single arrow to harm the other, not even another animal, let the man. And that only comes when the man is guaranteed his hunger not to be there, his shelter to be there, and the wealth that he can have and the pleasure of time to do what he likes to serve others. And the time is coming, we're approaching that time. You've got to understand, as I said many, many times, they have left me too long, too free to write too much, to publish too much, and teach too much. Once this, what I call blockage of the Fox News goes off the Keshe Foundation, and these teachings become so available peacefully across the planet and promoted by those, you will find 99% of the human race will become peaceful in no time. Because they've been waiting for these messages and education for centuries. And then who do they blame? Those who control these media controls. And then we'll see the end of what we call financial empires. The process is set, nothing can do anything with it. As I said, and I repeat many times, as we've seen the new factories, the new research centers of the Keshe Foundations come into operation. Up to now, the wealth of the nations and others has been by gold. Now the tricky job of bitcoins, but the Keshe Foundation stands on the strength of the knowledge. The only nation, as one nation, which guarantees its resources mapped by science and technology on the basis of peace. In a very short time, your children will say, my father, my grandfather was one of the first group who joined the foundation work. To them, will be proud. And this is where we are going, and this is the path we have chosen. I don't need to teach you about the GANs and technology, but I still teach you because you have to know how to elevate and add more to your soul. Now you understand, when we go back to physicality and teaching of other things, is to teach you how to add more to the arsenals of the soul. In a way, the arsenal that I can survive in more dimensions in different part of the universe. I'm going camping and I'm taking for every weather. It might be snow, it might be sunshine, it might be raining. I'll carry everything with me. And this is the purpose of these teachings, that you carry enough, that you can manifest yourself across every position in the universe. And this is the beauty of it, because then you can contribute in what I call being part of the totality and not being isolated, because you don't carry that bandwidth of the strength, and everybody else have a part in physical dimension, and I cannot be there because I'm just in dimension of soul. I don't carry it with me and I can't be in the party. I'm not there, not because I'm not invited, because I'm not dressed appropriate for the party. This is the craving of the man in the space. Why didn't I do more, to have more, to be able to be in party in every city of town? I have a friend, and that friend is part of the structure of my soul. Now you understand. Now we understand more and more why and what's the purpose of these teachings. In trying to add to the structure of the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality, many of us have taken into plants. We have eaten, we eat, we understand the process of the vegetation, we understand the process of what we call photosynthesis.
Okej, myślę, że tutaj możemy zrobić chwilę przerwy i przedyskutować sobie to, co zostało powiedziane przez ten 50-minutowy fragment. Myślę, że było dość gęsto, ale specjalnie chciałem to tak jakby utrzymać w jednym wątku, bo no wszystko się w pewien sposób ładnie układa, składa, a teraz tak jakby ta druga część, którą sobie dzisiaj obejrzymy, będzie dotyczyła właśnie fotosyntezy i po prostu chciałbym to jakby oddzielić też w pewien sposób, więc zapraszam wszystkich do zabierania głosu, kto co zrozumiał, kto co zaobserwował i jak tutaj to się odnosi do tego, co powiedzmy robimy, co możemy robić, co chcemy robić. Także serdecznie zapraszam.
No to wiedzy nam się wysypało to dosyć sporo. Możemy liczyć nawet 1000 lat, jeżeli powiedzmy znamy wszystkie procesy. Co ja tam wyłapałem? Małżeństwo fizyczności i duszy. Dowiedziałem się na przykład, że w Egipcie nie było niewolnictwa, tylko wszyscy powiedzmy budowali wspólnie, razem. Możemy stworzyć magnes na wszystko. Mówię, tej wiedzy było tutaj Sporo.
Dokładnie, możemy stworzyć magnes na wszystko i to jest właśnie dlatego Ziemia, dr Keshe nazywa często jest żłobkiem dusz, bo tutaj właśnie pakujemy swój plecak, tak jak teraz niedawno użył tej przynosi, pakujemy swój plecak na kemping, mamy doświadczenie z styczność, przejmujemy tą siłę tych różnych pierwiastków, elementów, które są obecne tutaj na Ziemi, jest to dość szerokie spektrum. To pozwala nam, tak spakowany plecak, na manifestację w zasadzie w każdym miejscu, na zaspokojenie swoich potrzeb w każdej w zasadzie sytuacji, co też ładnie dr Keshe skontrastował z sytuacją, jaka jest z Anglią czy z Francją i ich koloniami, że cały czas zbierają haracz. W zasadzie teraz, wiedząc dowiadując się, bo cały czas się uczymy, jak zaspokajać swoje potrzeby, na przykład głodu i tak dalej, no to znika potrzeba jakiejkolwiek agresji, zbierania haraczu, czy bogacenia się, gromadzenia, bo plazma nie może być gromadzona, plazma musi być cały czas w ruchu. Nie tyle, że musi, tylko po prostu jest, że to działa.
No i przede wszystkim stawiamy na zrozumienie, a nie uczenie się. Jak się nauczymy, no to można powiedzieć, że ta nauka zostanie z fizycznością. Jeżeli to zrozumiemy, to zostanie nam to w zasadzie na zawsze.
No ale tutaj dr Keshe właśnie bardzo fajną rzecz poruszył i to się sprawdza, tak, bo wielokrotnie mieliśmy jakiś tam, nie wiem, powiedzmy problem, czy z matematyką, czy z fizyką, czy z jakimkolwiek innym przedmiotem i trzeba było po prostu coś wyryć, żeby po prostu zaliczyć jakieś kolokwium, czy jakąś kartkówkę w szkole, czy coś takiego, tak, i 2 tygodnie po tak jakby danym egzaminie, czy takim etapie w ogóle zapominaliśmy o tym, co było i jak to się robiło, tak? Natomiast w tym momencie, kiedy załapiemy proces, kiedy coś zrozumiemy, to jesteśmy w stanie go sobie przełożyć, powiedzmy, na inne rzeczy. Po prostu wiemy, jak to się robi, tak? Więc to jest jakby no, oczywisty proces, tak? Tylko musimy na to ponownie zwrócić uwagę.
No, jeszcze chciałem zwrócić uwagę na bardzo trafne spostrzeżenie tego, co robili różni prorocy. To, co Keshe mówił właśnie o Mojżeszu, o Hitlerze i tak dalej. Jak my wszyscy w zasadzie powielamy te same schematy, powielamy to, czego się od nich uczymy, gdzie w pierwszym miejscu to oni gdzieś w pewien sposób popełnili błąd, starając się zamaskować swoje, można powiedzieć, występki fizyczności i tego typu etos, tego typu właśnie nauczanie o tej treści. Tym cały czas jesteśmy karmieni przez różne religie, a teraz zdając sobie sprawę, że nie potrzebujemy pośrednika, żadnego dealera między nami a naszą duszą, to otwiera bardzo wiele furtek i w pewien sposób uwalnia nas od tego wszystkiego, od grzechu, od obwiniania, od tego wszystkiego, czym straszy nas religia.
No, jesteśmy tylko my i kreator.
Dokładnie i wiemy, że możemy osądzać tylko samych siebie. Każdy tylko samego siebie i często to ostatnio dr Keshe porusza, że wszystko w zasadzie tu nie prosimy nikogo o wybaczenie, tak jak jest to na przykład w religii, bo w momencie, kiedy zdajemy sobie sprawę, że w pewien sposób niewłaściwie postąpiliśmy, zdajemy sobie sprawę z konsekwencji i tak dalej, w pewien sposób no już nie potrzebujemy tego przebaczenia, bo to jest wystarczająca lekcja, którą zbieramy, ale trzeba to przyjąć z pokorą, a nie powiadać te same błędy cały czas.
No, dokładnie. I wracając jeszcze do tego, jak przez wiele setek lat w zasadzie wszystko się bezkrytycznie przyjmowało, tak? To zostało powiedziane, bo powiedział to powiedziała to ta osoba lub inna lub ktokolwiek, tak, i że ze względu na to on jest, powiedzmy w cudzysłowie, jakimś autorytetem, no, przyjmowaliśmy to wszystko bezkrytycznie, tak, a tutaj się nagle okazuje, że znaczy nie nagle, bo to jest powtarzane w zasadzie też już od bardzo, bardzo długiego czasu, że no jednak trzeba włożyć w to trochę swojego wysiłku i samemu to zrozumieć wszystko, tak?
No i też ciekawy był aspekt z tymi wirusami, które dołączają się do aminokwasu, że jest to tutaj historia pod tytułem proste drogi nie czynią dobrych kierowców, czyli po to są te wirusy, żeby tak jak żyjąc tutaj na Ziemi mamy do czynienia z szerokim spektrum pierwiastków różnego rodzaju, tak samo właśnie po to są te wirusy, jest to forma, można powiedzieć, treningu, część z nich jest to forma treningu tego, żeby operować w różnej sile pól, poszerzać swoje zrozumienie. Tak jak dr Keshe dawał przykład Naomi, że będzie żyła kilkaset lat, albo dzieci urodzone teraz, wiele z nich będzie żyło po 200 lat.
No, tą wiedzę po prostu trzeba zrozumieć, a nie nauczyć się to. Tego można powiedzieć, że nie można tego ogarnąć, to po prostu trzeba zrozumieć.
O, ktoś jeszcze chciałby coś tutaj dodać do wątku, do tego tematu, zanim przejdziemy do tego fragmentu o fotosyntezie? Okej. W takim układzie przejdziemy kawałeczek dalej. W 205 tutaj dr Keshe omówił nam proces wymiany pól na przestrzeni naszego organizmu, tak? Tutaj płuca, serce, krew i tak dalej, i tak dalej. I teraz analogicznie będzie to przedstawione w pewien sposób na procesie fotosyntezy, także nie będzie to cały wątek, będzie to tylko część, którą tutaj powiedzmy zaprojektowaliśmy na dzisiejszy wykład. Druga część będzie w niedzielę, a po niedzielnym wykładzie udostępnimy całość tłumaczenia też na naszym kanale KF SSI Polska na YouTubie, żeby każdy mógł sobie ściągnąć napisy, czy też obejrzeć po prostu bezpośrednio w sieci. Także zaczynamy drugi kawałeczek.
Where and how? And how does it happen? The same as what we explained in the past. Last week I explained about the structure of the passing of the energy through the lung, through the blood, and then connections with the soul. There is a mystery or a misunderstanding in the world of the plants. Maybe today's teaching will start a new cycle of understanding. If you look in the history of the education of the man in the physical dimension, life of the plants, we've been told that the plants give oxygen during the day and they absorb carbon at night. And then we have explained it again, like what we said, we breathe air and oxygen goes through the lung and goes then through the wall of the lung into the blood. The fallacy, the most beautiful fallacy which we all have accepted because the lack of understanding. The same fallacy exists in what we call photosynthesis. If you look at what is photosynthesis, how do they explain, how do we explain in the world of science today? I've asked Rick to dig it out, that we understand the present knowledge and then we add to it that we understand it in a more correct way with the new knowledge of the science of the plasma, new science of the creation of the fields of the universe. Rick, would you like to bring up the page about this photosynthesis, what it is and what he explains to us?
Sure, Mr. Keshe. This is the Wikipedia page that is always a good reference to get a baseline of what it's all about. We call it photosynthesis. And as it says here, just to make sure my microphone's, yes. As it says here, photosynthesis is a process used by plants and other organisms to convert light energy into chemical energy that can later be released to fuel the organism's activities or energy transformation. This chemical energy is stored in carbohydrate molecules such as sugars, which are synthesized from carbon dioxide and water. Hence the name photosynthesis from the Greek phos, light, and something, synthesis, putting together. In most cases, oxygen is also released as a waste product. Most plants, most algae, and cyanobacteria perform photosynthesis. Such organisms are called photoautotrophs. Photosynthesis is largely responsible for producing and maintaining the oxygen content of the Earth's atmosphere and supplies all of the organic compounds and most of the energy necessary for life on Earth. Shall I go on with this? Or I also have a video, Mr. Keshe, if you want me to play it, that shows in intricate detail the process within the leaf and so on that goes on.
Yes, go ahead. If you don't kick me out every time you put a video on, I get kicked out, I have to come back in.
Okay, well, let me give it a try here and see what happens. Just get it set up.
I stand by for being kicked out and come back in.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen there and see if we can get this to work properly.
Are we allowed to use this? We have no
Yeah,
problem.
this is, yeah, I should, let me go back first. This is a Community Commons video that's free to use from the website as I'm using it here for educational purposes especially, but it's free to use. So let me just get it started here. Oh, sorry. I need to share the sound. That's part of the, and optimize. There we go. Just redo that. I think that'll work better. Okay, I'll just start again here.
The process of photosynthesis produces ATP from ADP and PI by using the energy from light to excite electrons that are passed along an electron transport chain. Coupled with the transfer of electrons is the pumping of hydrogen ions and the splitting of water molecules. The following complexes are found in the photosynthesis electron transport chain: photosystem 2, cytochrome B6F, photosystem 1, ferredoxin NADP reductase, and the complex that makes ATP, ATP synthase. In addition to the complexes, 3 mobile carriers are also involved: plastoquinone QB, plastocyanin, and ferredoxin. Other key components include photons, chlorophyll molecules, protons, water, molecular oxygen, NADP, and the electrons to form NADPH, and ADP and PI, which combine to form ATP. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts of plants and algae. The process is also found in single-cell organisms, such as cyanobacteria, that do not have chloroplasts. Like its mitochondrial counterpart, the chloroplast electron transport chain consists of several protein complexes and mobile electron carriers. First, a photon of light hits a chlorophyll molecule surrounding the photosystem II complex. This creates resonance energy that is transferred through neighboring chlorophyll molecules. When this energy reaches the reaction center embedded in photosystem II, an electron is released. The reaction center chlorophyll contains electrons that can be transferred when excited. One photon is needed to excite each of the electrons in this chlorophyll. Once excited, 2 electrons are transferred to plastoquinone QB, the first mobile carrier. In addition to the 2 electrons, QB also picks up 2 protons from the stroma. The 2 electrons lost from photosystem II are replaced by the splitting of water molecules. Water splitting also releases hydrogen ions into the lumen. This contributes to a hydrogen ion gradient similar to the one created by mitochondrial electron transport. After 2 water molecules have been split, 1 molecule of molecular oxygen is created. Plastoquinone QB then transfers the 2 electrons to the cytochrome B6F complex. The 2 protons it picked up are released into the lumen. These transfers are coupled with the pumping of 2 more hydrogen ions into the lumen space by cytochrome B6F. The electrons are next transferred to plastocyanin, another mobile carrier. Next, the electrons are transferred from plastocyanin to the photosystem I complex. It is here that photons again energize each electron and propel their transfer to ferredoxin. Ferredoxin then transfers the electrons to the ferredoxin NADP reductase, also known as FNR. After 2 electrons are transferred to FNR, NADPH is made by adding the 2 electrons and a hydrogen ion to NADP. The gradient created by the electron transport chain is utilized by ATP synthase to create ATP from ADP and PI. This is similar to the way ATP is synthesized in the mitochondria. ATP, NADPH, and molecular oxygen are the final vital products of photosynthesis.
No dobra, tutaj się zatrzymamy na chwilę, bo komentarze się posypały na czacie, nic z tego nie rozumiem, nie jesteś sami. Szczerze powiedziawszy, wcale się nie dziwię, bo no po prostu to trzeba jeszcze, chyba by było ze 4-5 razy w zwolnionym tempie przeanalizować, żeby coś z tego zrozumieć tak dokładnie i analitycznie, a teraz dostaniemy jakby prostszą wersję tego samego, także zostańcie z nami, wszystko będzie dobrze.
Okay, that's the end of that little video. That gives the technical end as far as some of the latest science goes on all of that. It's quite complex, of course, but it is what it is. I'm sure Mr. Keshe will have a different way of approaching it.
Now let's look at some facts. The way we looked at the facts of transfer of energy in the body of the man. The physical process has been understood and explained this way, but the real structure has not been understood. Now we understand how and why Because we have systems, we have technologies which we can do so. If you look and if you run dynamic systems, dynamic reactors, if you have a fairly large dynamic core, which is more or less, let's say 200 grams, half a kilo, and you put it on the motor, you fill it in with gases or you fill it up with gas plasmas, as we showed in the first part of the teachings 2 or 3 years ago, and you connect this to a power supply. Can I have a whiteboard, please? Anyone can give me a whiteboard?
Yeah, coming up here, Mr. Keshe. Just get this out of the way here.
Where am I? I've lost my whiteboard.
I'm just trying to. Are you providing the whiteboard, or do you want me to? I see your screen is coming up there, or Flint is.
Can you provide me with the whiteboard?
Flint's got a whiteboard going there now. I think that should work.
Okay, now I have to share. What does it say? This will stop address. Continue. I want to share my whiteboard. Okay, now we are here. Let's look at something very interesting.
No, Mr. Keshe, we see your screen.
Yeah,
Can you try again, please?
Pardon?
We see
your screen. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we see the whiteboard. Thank you.
Yeah, it took time. There is nothing on this. We chose this laptop especially for this job. Nobody can interfere. It's only for Thursday's teaching. This is the beauty. We can work this way. So the hackers have got a lot of job hacking themselves. Okay, now let's look at something very interesting with this process. What I'm going to do is very simple. Choose the color. If those of you who remember, we worked in this in Sano, we have these reactors, gas reactors, which are run by a motor and then connected to a power supply, current and voltage. What is interesting is that for those of you who haven't done these experiments, it doesn't mean anything. For those who have, it brings out a lot of reality into the whole process of understanding of the plasma and what they call photosynthesis. If you take a 24-hour cycle, observing voltage and current, something very strange happens. If you go back into the presentation of Eindhoven, where I showed the ball with a lot of parachutes, I call it, and then we showed the fluctuation in the power, where during the night we produce more power than during the daytime. This should have cleared this to a lot of you exactly what it is and how photosynthesis works. The photosynthesis comes through primarily and only through the operation of gravitational magnetic fields of the planet and nothing to do with anything else. The rest of it is the process of conversion. Why does photosynthesis happen in the dark, at night, not the daytime? If you look at this voltage current, you see something very, very strange. If this is 0 to 12 hours lunchtime, and then you go back to 12 at night, and then you go back again to the lunchtime every 12 hours, something strange happens in your voltage current. The voltage stays the same in your power supply, but when it comes to night time, if this is the central line, your current dips to the maximum at PM, These are AMs. And then it picks back on. Very strange for a motor which carries the same weight, the same motor, the same current, should be a straight line like this one. This should be the voltage amperage use, because we haven't changed anything. We haven't changed any weight, we haven't changed anything else at all. But what we see drop in the amperage, starting from sunset to sunrise. Exactly what we showed in Eindhoven. In Eindhoven, we showed, and in the papers, and in the poll which have made, that the power production increases by 2 or 3 times during the night and the daytime. Why? If you look at this, what I call graph A and graph B, graph A, as a scientist, as a researcher, tells you something very strange is happening. Because by law of physics, the power used to run a motor is, where am I? Why have I got to this trap now? Okay, the power used, what we call watt, is ampere times voltage. The power on this line should be constant because we haven't changed any weight to increase pressure on it, or we haven't reduced anything to decrease it. The only thing which changes is the day and night, which is the pressure of the sun, gravitational magnetic field, and the pressure of the earth, gravitational magnetic field. How come the power reduces at night time? As the sun sets, we see the dip. I have asked one of the research centers to plot this out themselves, because this is important for them as they're in the space development, in understanding how you can lift from a planet. What's the reason that they cannot get their flight system sorted out? Because they have to understand this concept. So what happens? Why does the power during the night time reduces? It's the same motor, but uses less energy, which means there is less pressure on the motor. There is a less pressure that it needs current, which means the sun gravitational magnetic field is withdrawn, and the earth gravitational magnetic field, in the absence of the sun, it can push further up. And in pushing further up, it takes weight off the motor, it takes weight of the plasma inside. The mystery is not the system, the mystery is this, the gas inside. Because it's in a plasma condition, because it's in gravitational magnetic field strength, the earth gravitational magnetic field strength touches it. So it has less weight to put pressure on a motor. When you run a system the way I do, it's very significant, because the body stays the same. During the daytime, you go to 100 milliamp. And at the night time, you come down to 85, 87 milliamp. It's nearly 20% difference. So what we see for the first time scientifically, we show we created a plasma which is what I call, if I can change the color that you can see it better, we created a plasma in this blue section, which now it has the intermediary of the sun and the intermediary of the earth gravitational magnetic field. And it's only a few centimeters, maybe 20 centimeters off the ground level. And then you change this to a leaf of a plant. Which is dynamic. Then take your knowledge a step further. You've done all this, we should be visited with this by now. The stronger oxygen, the weaker strength carbon, the intermediary nitrogen. Is the gravitational magnetic field of the planet which dictates which one is taken by the intermediary, and then which one is available to be released according to the pressures, gravitational magnetic field pressures. Then this changes all this video we have seen, because in this video we just seen, released by the American education website, they hide something which they don't understand, but we understand. It says a proton comes and electrons are released, and then another electron comes on the where are these electrons and protons? What are they affected by? Why do they get released? Why does the process goes during the night time? Because now when it's a plasma on its own, it affects with the magnetic gravitational field strength. Where do they come from that they get produced, and how come electron is released at a certain time of the pressure and a proton and the neutron comes from somewhere else? You see, the teaching is correct, but what is not understood in the packages of misunderstanding of the man is just added in. But if you put in now the further understanding in the knowledge that the gravitational field, the strength of the Earth, 85, 87, less pressure, less magnetic gravitational field pressure. What does it do? It pushes the lighter weight, which is carbon, into the boundary of the nitrogen. During the day is the reversal. The pressure of the higher releases pushes one down and the other one is available. And then you have to understand something very, very interesting in the whole process. There is a word in this teaching which is added. It calls amino acid. The hydrogen. Now you see, the game is played by the amino acid. So, in fact, all the, what I call rubbish we heard, to a simple man like you, who understands now the creation of amino acid, and understanding that the whole atmosphere around the system is amino acid based. Now you see the interaction. This is your CO2 gas, isn't it? This is your box, but you call it a leaf. All that explanation, this, and the mysteries, to you who understand this, is solved. Through the interaction of gravitational field of the Earth, you change the gravitational field, the strength within the center, which is nitrogen. Adding more of the gravitational magnetic field to the carbon with the nitrogen as a balance, it makes it available that in the process of the reversal, when there is more pressure of the time, which is the daylight, to be oxygen. Then if we understand this process exactly, Then for the first time we understand even, for example, why do we have 3 lines, vegetation line in the mountain ranges? Is the gravitational field strength at a given point in the understanding of the new science that allows different strength fields to be created. At this point, no vegetation, we don't have the amino acid connections for vegetation to exist. We see a 3 line. This now makes sense and fits to the rest of picture of photosynthesis, what they call photosynthesis, what we call plasma technology.
Okej, to jest ten fragment, który mieliśmy przygotowany na dzisiaj. No chyba ta druga część jakby przejęta i tutaj z tym dodatkiem do wiedzy przez doktora Keshe wygląda zdecydowanie bardziej przystępnie niż to, co było przedstawione na tej animacji. No i chyba daje dużo do myślenia, prawda?
No jeżeli chodzi o to, co tutaj zostało narysowane, to myślę, że to jakieś takie bardziej przystępne, bardziej przejrzyste. Prawda, pewnie zrozumienie też zajmie chwilę. Ale to, co było na tamtym filmiku, no to trzeba byłoby chyba długo się wgłębiać w to, żeby to tak jakby zrozumieć, o co tam chodzi.
Mamy nagranie, także spokojnie będzie się można do tego cofnąć.
Replay.
Ale popatrzcie, ta sama analogia była przedstawiona w 205. Teraz to zostało rozszerzone o kolejne elementy, kolejne aspekty. Tutaj Paweł też mówił, żeby zerknąć sobie na ten 45. warsztat poszukiwaczy wiedzy, gdzie zostało to wyjaśnione, powiedzmy, już wtedy, czyli zobaczcie, to są 2-3 lata temu, już nie pamiętam, czy to był 2014 czy 15. 15 chyba. I tam już to było poruszane, tylko jakby no, większość ludzi tego w ogóle nie złapała, nie zjarzyła. No, dzięki w ogóle Bogu, że teraz powiedzmy mamy tą wiedzę wyjaśnioną w ten sposób, zataczamy tak jakby nowy cykl i możemy w ogóle na te wykłady spojrzeć zupełnie inaczej, bo naprawdę bardzo dużo rzeczy się łączy, tak jak było i w pierwszej części tego wykładu powiedziane, tak, że te nauki jakby z różnych stron, z różnych aspektów się zbiegają i teraz no, możemy zobaczyć całość tutaj na tym przykładzie, na przykładzie fotosyntezy i tej wymiany pól w płucach człowieka i na przykład tego reaktorka czy boksa CO2 widzimy to samo, więc dużo się układa, naprawdę bardzo dużo się układa, jeżeli oczywiście chcemy. Czy ktoś jeszcze chciałby tutaj coś dodać do tego fragmentu?
Witam serdecznie, słychać mnie? Halo,
Tak,
halo.
cześć Mateusz, cześć.
Cześć. Dobrze mnie słychać ogólnie?
Tak, jest okej.
A ja bym chciał tutaj powiedzieć, aby taką ciekawostkę, myślę, że też się powtórzę, ponieważ już ktoś o tym powiedział wcześniej, to jest bardzo ciekawe. Nie chcę akurat mówić po imieniu i nazwisku, ale tutaj tlen, węgiel i azot to jest też jak gdyby reprezentacja, oczywiście w moim zrozumieniu tak samo, naszych płuc, naszego serca i wodór, który jest naszym górnym reaktorem, czyli to, co naszą duszą. I to jest bardzo ciekawe względem natężenia pól, czyli dzień i noc, gdzie te pola się cały czas zmieniają. I to jest bardzo ciekawe właśnie do tego, że to, co mamy w środku głowy, też te pola cały czas kręcą się troszeczkę inaczej. Czyli to, jak pracuje nasza dusza względem naszego organizmu, naszego pobierania, jeżeli chodzi o płuca, serca, też bardzo różnie jak gdyby radiuje polami w stronę naszej fizyczności, czyli naszych reaktorów, naszej klatki piersiowej. I tutaj chciałem aby powiedzieć mniej więcej, że mamy tlen, mamy węgiel w jednym reaktorze i mamy azot w środkowym. I to, co mamy w płucach, to, co mamy już w strukturze naszego ciała, to ciężko jest to brać jako materia pod względem materialnym, że tak powiem, ponieważ to już jest w stanie gansu, ponieważ już znajduje się w środowisku naszego ciała. Czyli już jest to gansem. Myślę, że to jest takie też ciekawe. Więc to już nie jest jak gdyby tlen taki sam, który jest na zewnątrz naszego ciała. Ten tlen, który jest w naszym ciele, już jest jak gdyby zgansowany. Czyli to już nie jest do końca tlen. Tak samo jak mamy gans z żywności, a zwykłą żywność to już nie jest do końca żywnością. W momencie, kiedy przetworzymy i zrobimy strukturę gansu. Ponieważ otworzyliśmy pola w pewien sposób. I to jest bardzo ciekawe, ponieważ zarówno jak tlen i węgiel znajduje się w jednym płucu i w drugim płucu. I tlen jest cięższy, a węgiel jest lżejszy. Tlen, z tego co oczywiście rozumiemy, wdychamy tlen, wydychamy dwutlenek węgla. A tlen jest cięższy, węgiel jest lżejszy i to jest ciekawa sprawa względem serca i jego pracy. Jako azotu, który jest pośrodku. Więc myślę, że bardzo, bardzo ciekawy kawałek w ogóle o fotosyntezie, ponieważ wcześniej nie miałem za bardzo z tym styczności, a naprawdę tutaj dużo rozwinął w tej kwestii. Przynajmniej tworzenia według mnie paliwa i po prostu czym jak gdyby się bardziej sugerować względem tworzenia paliwa, względem środowiska, czym jest Słońce, czym jest nasza planeta i kreacji pól, a w stosunku do naszej fizyczności również, co później wynika, ale chodzi bardziej o pola emocji oczywiście, ponieważ fizyczność jest tylko efektem działania tych pól. Więc to jest bardzo ciekawe, więc myślę, że tyle ode mnie odnośnie tego kawałku.
Dzięki serdeczne, Mateusz. No tutaj się jeszcze w niedzielę bardzo dużo wiedzy wysypie. Nie będziemy tutaj uprzedzać pewnych rzeczy, ale no, naprawdę zachęcam do analizowania i dzielenia się właśnie swoimi spostrzeżeniami, jak to wygląda, gdzie to możemy zastosować, co z tym możemy zrobić i tak dalej. No, wiedza jest wspólna. Fajnie by było, żeby tutaj ją też wspólnie rozwijać. Także jeżeli ktoś jeszcze chciałby coś dodać, zarówno z uczestników, podnieście rękę, przeniesiemy Was na panel. No a paneliści oczywiście po prostu otwierają mikrofon i na spokojnie mogą coś powiedzieć. Także zapraszam. Okej, w takim układzie, jeżeli tutaj nikt nie chce nic jakby od siebie dodać, to serdecznie dziękuję wszystkim za przygotowanie tego wykładu, za tłumaczenia, za korektę, wszystkim biorącym udział też właśnie za obecność. I co? I do zobaczenia Do zobaczenia w niedzielę na kolejnym fragmencie tego wykładu na naszym warsztacie. Może wtedy troszeczkę więcej jeszcze rzeczy się poukłada i będziemy mogli o tym swobodnie podyskutować. Także serdecznie dziękuję wszystkim za udział. Do zobaczenia i do usłyszenia już w niedzielę.